Hey beauty, I've been paying more attention to what I've been eating so that I can share it on the show with you. I've been making this recipe for my family for a while and they all love it, so I really wanted to share it with you. Before we get into the show, I wanted to remind you of my free cheat sheet. It's called Hope for Your Health, a simple cheat sheet for getting started with holistic health God's way. It's super short and super simple. If you're interested in getting started with holistic health God's way and to have some hope for your health, go to herholistichealing.com/free. I will leave a link in the show notes. With all that being said, let's get into the show. Welcome to Her Holistic Healing. Do you want more energy and less anxiety so that you can do all the things? Are you searching for meal ideas, essential oils, and other holistic treatments? Do you wish you could know which direction to take with your health so that you could finally feel better? Hey, I'm Alexandra. I love Jesus. I'm a wife, mom of 3, and registered nurse with years of experience in clinical research. I also wanted more energy so that I could have more fun and keep up with my growing child. I too was confused about all the different diet and treatment options. I too wanted to wake up every day and feel good, but I felt anxious because I couldn't solve the mystery of my health. Until God showed me that He is the source of true healing. In this podcast, you will learn holistic treatments and Bible truths that will lead you to the peace, joy, and freedom that you have been hoping for. So what do you say we take a break from the mind-numbing humdrum busyness? Let's rest and let God be our healer and helper. This recipe comes from a book called The Chinese Medicine Cookbook, Nourishing Recipes to Heal and Thrive by Stacy Isaacs. This book contains so many delicious recipes. It is called the Chinese Medicine Cookbook, but it doesn't have all Chinese recipes. It has all types of recipes. It's a book with recipes containing principles based upon Chinese medicine, so it's not a Chinese cuisine cookbook. I make her one dish called crispy roasted salt and pepper potatoes. It's a wonderful, healthy swap for French fries. My 3 kids and my husband love it. It's really hard to find recipes that all 5 of us love, so I really wanted to share this with you. Stacy says, once you get the perfect ratio of spices and the right amount of fat and the correct baking times and temperature, you can use this formula time after time with whatever spices and herbs you like. So if you're interested in this recipe, get out a notebook and pen so you can write some of these things down. If you're not interested in this recipe, stay tuned to the end because we're going to just talk about some healthy ingredients more. So for these crispy roasted salt and pepper potatoes, you need 4 medium yellow potatoes scrubbed and cut into bite-sized pieces, 1.5 tablespoons of ghee. I substitute this for 1.5 tablespoons of avocado oil. If I were to use ghee, personally, I would use grass-fed organic raw ghee. Another ingredient is 1 teaspoon of dried oregano, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, half a teaspoon of dried thyme, half a teaspoon of ground black pepper, and sea salt. Number 1, preheat the oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Line a rimmed baking sheet with parchment paper. I don't really use parchment paper. Right now I just use a stainless steel baking pan. So that's number 1. Number 2, meanwhile, put the potatoes in a medium saucepan and cover them with water. Set the pan over high heat, bring the water to a boil, and cook for 6 minutes. Drain well. She says 6 minutes. You might want to keep an eye on the potatoes. Make sure they're not getting too soft. So I usually do it for less than 6 minutes. Number 3, toss the potatoes in a large bowl with the avocado oil, oregano, garlic powder, thyme, black pepper, and salt to taste. Spread them in a single layer on the baking sheet, making sure they do not touch. Number 4, roast until the potatoes are golden and crispy, about 45 minutes. Note, every oven is different, so start checking your potatoes after 30 minutes to prevent overcooking. She also talks about the health benefits of this recipe. Potatoes are good at soothing ulcers and neutralizing acid in the stomach, and they help relieve constipation. These tubers can also help relieve arthritic inflammation. So, even though the sweet potato is thought of as the white potato's more nutritious sister, regular old potatoes can be just what the doctor ordered. Note 2. Black pepper is a Chinese herb. It's used to alleviate diarrhea, vomiting, and some stomach pain. This recipe is especially good for aiding digestion and neutralizing stomach acid. So as I said before, this is a great healthy swap for French fries, these crispy roasted salt and pepper potatoes. As you can see, this recipe is very simple. It has very simple ingredients like oregano, garlic powder, thyme, black pepper, and sea salt. Notice it's sea salt, not the processed salt. Oregano, garlic, and thyme are all powerhouse spices. When I think of oregano and thyme, they are just great for the immune system. I actually take oregano when I'm sick. I take the essential oil. Just note that if you're going to take essential oils, you want to take the most pure essential oils. If you're interested in the kind I used, go to herholistichealing.com/resources. I'll put a link in the show notes. So when we think about these very simple ingredients, like I was saying, the oregano, the garlic powder, the thyme, the black pepper, according to Stacy Isaacs, is great for diarrhea, vomiting, and some stomach pains. These are just a few of the healthy spices that you can use for cooking. If you're not interested in this recipe, there are a ton of healthy recipes out there. There are a ton of healthy spices out there. What I really want for you is to fall in love with the spices, the herbs, the wonderful natural foods that God created for our health. We as a culture have done just atrocious things to our food system. We've been eating all these processed foods because they're more convenient and they're cheaper. But if we just stick to simple things, to these simple, organic, naturally grown, naturally made foods, they're just so healthy for our body. They're so delicious. As I said before, my whole family just loves this recipe, and why wouldn't you? They're roasted potatoes with delicious spices. So maybe consider buying this recipe book, The Chinese Medicine Cookbook, Nourishing Recipes to Heal and Thrive by Stacy Isaacs. This contains a bunch of recipes based on Chinese medicine. You can also buy a cookbook that has paleo recipes in it, or you can buy Dr. Axe sells some recipe books based on his food philosophies. He's always teaching on the keto diet, or he teaches on a bunch of different diets. The keto diet, you can buy a recipe book based upon the Maker's Diet. You can look up recipes from the Weston A. Price Foundation. Your action step for today is to find a healthy recipe. I want you to find a recipe that has ingredients that are natural, that are not processed. So if you're not sure what's not processed, I would start with paleo recipes. If you are more familiar with natural ingredients, you could do keto or vegan or vegetarian. But for me personally, I think it's super important that the ingredients that you use are natural in their natural form. For instance, you could look for a recipe that is vegetarian. However, that vegetarian recipe could call for a bunch of processed wheat or something like that, and that wouldn't be good for your digestion. So as I've said before, I'm not all about the paleo diet and all those things. I just think it's a great starting off point if you're not sure what to eat. If you search for some paleo recipes, you will find some healthy, delicious recipes that the whole family will love. I'm so glad that you took the time to listen today. If you liked what you heard, will you leave me a review on Apple Podcasts so that this show can reach more people? And if you want to connect with me, go to herholistichealing.com. Matthew 11 verses 28 through 30. Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls.
For you. It's easy and my burden is light.